Somebody put you up to that, I just know it. Welcome to the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall yet again. Yet again. Is there anybody who's here for the first time tonight? Yeah, a few people. Great. Welcome.
Is this your first concert with an orchestra, classical?
No.
Okay.
Might not be the very best first orchestra concert to come to, but it's going to be a very, very interesting concert. I'm Robert McBride of All Classical FM, and this, of course, is Carlos Kalmar, the music director of the Oregon Symphony.
Good evening.
And there's one thing I want to make sure you know right away, and that is that Carlos wishes to present the first half of this concert without applause between the pieces. So spread the word about that before the concert starts, okay? Try to sit on your hands. This morning, for the first time, I listened to all three of these pieces that way, and it really works. Beautiful idea.
Thank you. I cannot predict what will happen, but I think at the end of the first two pieces, there cannot be applause. I mean, in that sense that it doesn't end the way where you say, yeah. No, not exactly.
They're both unanswered, uncertain.
Yes.
Particularly the first one, but even which is the unanswered question, after all, by Charles Ives. But even The Wound Dresser by John Adams doesn't end in such a way that would make you want to jump up and shout. It's very thoughtful and very thought-provoking. And then you go right from that into the Symphonia de Requiem by Benjamin Britten. Wow.
Yeah, it's quite... of course, I don't know where we are going to go with our conversation, but
we never do.
We know, true. But even if you have at first the impression that the way the program is put together and the reason why the first three pieces are going to be played one after another without applause and without really pausing, if you think that is only because it's an intellectual exercise and somebody who really thought about this and the whys, etc., made this up, well, there is some truth to that, but the real truth is that I actually think that it works well because it's an intense emotional adventure, and that's why it's there.
It's on the surface, maybe a dark program, music for a time of war, but it's hardly pro-war in any way. And the first three pieces especially are so subtle so much of the time that I think it'll put you in a very interesting place intellectually and emotionally. This will be a concert unlike any concert you've ever experienced. I feel confident in saying that. And you may have noticed there are more microphones up here than usual. Tonight and tomorrow afternoon will both be recorded, and then you'll be releasing a CD when?
I heard that we are aiming at October 1st, right. But I don't know this. We have a wonderful group from Boston who are just doing this recording with us. It is the first recording of the Oregon Symphony with me on the podium, and I'm very, very happy that through the generosity of many people like you are, this recording was made possible, and I think I strongly believe that this is a very special concert, and you will want to hear it again.
Can I have the first copy so I can play it on the radio?
Of course you can.
Okay. You also have a CD coming out sometime soon of works that have won the Pulitzer Prize. I want the first copy of that one too.
No. Am I supposed to say no now?
You cannot. You cannot say no to me now.
Exactly.
And that's a Grant Park program.
Yeah,
when will that be out?
We are aiming at around the beginning of the festival in Grant Park, Chicago, which is by mid-June. Okay. And it's a recording with three pieces that all won the Pulitzer Prize in the 40s. And interesting enough, two of those pieces probably had 2 or 3 performances, won the Pulitzer Prize, and nobody does them ever again. happens. And the third piece, Appalachian Spring, managed to be one of the most popular and widely played American pieces.
Now, tonight's program, as you most likely know, is the program that the Oregon Symphony is taking to Carnegie Hall next Thursday. The orchestra's debut in that hall, also Maestro Carlos Kalmar's first occasion to conduct in Carnegie Hall. And this program won a competition, in a way, for the Spring for Music Festival, which is a brand new festival and just started, yesterday or the day before? And you got invited on the basis of the strength of the program that you've invented. This program tonight, which has Charles Ives, John Adams, two Americans, then Benjamin Britten and Vaughan Williams after intermission, two Brits. Not pieces necessarily written about or in response to war, though if you present them in this way, you can certainly think about them as relating to it. Charles Ives' The Unanswered Question can be any perennial, unanswerable question you wish it to be. And I think for all of us tonight, unavoidably, it's going to be, why do we kill each other? Why do we go to war? Why do we do that? And then the John Adams Wound Dresser sets poems by Walt Whitman that were his recollections of nursing wounded soldiers during the Civil War. It's very vivid poetry. It's the kind of thing I would ordinarily just totally shy away from, because I'm really a wimp. I don't want to read that stuff. I wouldn't want to set it to music. But it's so heartfelt. It's so beautiful. And the way Adams sets it, if you think of John Adams as kind of a wacky composer, which he often is, this is completely different. It's so sincere. It's just beautiful. I'm done making a speech. It's your turn.
I thought you walk us through the entire program and
you just sit there and watch.
I sit there and smile. No, it's actually all of what you say is exactly the point. It's quite interesting that we participated in this competition for this brand new festival. I believe it starts tomorrow. And the festival was open to every orchestra in America and in Canada. And I don't know how many applied, many. And then the leaders of this festival, why does this festival even exist? That's also something that you should know, because it explains a little bit why this program that we are playing for you tonight here works as it works. There are people in New York who are linked to the classical music orchestral industry for 20, 30 years, looked around the country and thought that on our day and age here, the programming of orchestras in general term is just very poor, because the programming is guided by ideas of marketing and guided by the big names, and in the end what bothered them the most is that programs, although sometimes even successfully, just put things together that actually do not belong together and do not make sense. Every single piece by itself makes sense. Of course, when I heard about this idea of programming, I thought, well, those guys who came up with this idea for a festival just didn't come to Portland, Oregon, because here, we do programming that actually capitalizes on way more than only the needs of marketing. That is the great thing about the Oregon Symphony Association, that marketing, artistic team, president, we are all one team and we work together. And I think overall we can come up with solutions that are interesting, sometimes feature great names, sometimes feature music that we all know very well and love, but also it goes sometimes things outside the box. So in the end, I'm very proud that we are presenting in New York a program that I actually could have designed with my artistic administrator for Oregon without New York. This is kind of an average program in a way that we would present to Portland only. And yes, we then kind of participated in this competition, and we are one out of 7 orchestras that are invited. And we are the only orchestra, I think, that where it's fair to say that our programming focuses on one thing only. There are other programs are very interesting too, but it's about war, end of story. And if you haven't heard it already, because it is all over the news these days, and we make, of course, a big announcement when it happened, the Oregon Symphony is invited to the 2013 Spring for Music Festival again. We are going to Carnegie in 2 years again. And guess what? Even there, the program is about one topic, which is love, by the way. But you have to hold your breath, because I can't tell you what it is. Anyway, the thing is, the fascination of tonight's program is maybe the fact that when you think about music for a time of war, although I wouldn't say it's the easiest task to put up a program of 2 hours music or something like that, it's easier than you think, because there are pieces that relate to war, and there are pieces that relate specifically to war, and we have played some of them here. But for us in the artistic team, what we thought is we want to look in a very broad way at the idea of war and what war does to us humans and what war means. And every time I think about why the program is as it is and what we want, if anything, want to say with it, I try to shy very far as I can, away from making any kind of political statement. So if it comes out that way, please, I don't want to make a political statement. All I want, actually, is that everybody who will share these 2 hours with us here in the Schnitzer draws their own conclusions. Just listen to what it is, and then think about what you feel about the idea of maybe not only the music and the idea of this phenomenal orchestra that is the Oregon Symphony, and about this moving baritone soloist that is Sanford Sylvan, but also about what is meant by the music. Because at the end, you'll realize 2 pieces that are in this program are not, have not been written because of the war. Mainly, Charles Ives has, let's just face it, nothing to do with war. And the last piece on the program, the 4th Symphony by Ralph Vaughan Williams, well, that is quite a story, because this piece is written in 1935, and as soon as it was premiered, as the rumors started, right away, were rumors that, Vaughan Williams wrote this piece because he was so upset with the situation in Europe in 1935, which was politically not a very pleasant place to be, and the Nazis, the uprising of the Nazis, etc. In 1958, I think it was, Sir Adrian Boult, who was one of the greatest conductors of Ralph Vaughan Williams' music, said Ralph Vaughan Williams could foresee the horrors of Second World War, and that's why this piece sounds as it sounds. Well, what was the big fuss about, and why rumors on this symphony and not on all the other symphonies of Ralph Vaughan Williams? The reason is actually quite simple. Vaughan Williams is a composer that writes lyrical, pastoral, sometimes folksy music, very pleasant to listen and really fun. And then he comes, all of a sudden, no announcement, nada, and this symphony. And this symphony is as much in your face and aggressive, loud, sometimes even brutal as you can think. So you think, oh, what was going on with this wonderful Englishman? who should be understated and lyrical and pastoral. That's why the rumors started. And Vaughan Williams himself denied anything. He just said, I don't know what went on, but it just occurred to me like that. But one thing is very, very crystal clear. It's very angry music most of the time, really angry. And I can, without participating in all these rumors, I can say that Ray Vaughan Williams was angry about something bigger than having forgotten to buy eggs at the supermarket. Something was bothering him, and even there, draw your own conclusions. It's unbelievable. And in the middle of the program, the Woundresser by Adams, the Symphonia da Requiem by Benjamin Britten, both pieces have something to do with war. Specifically, the Adams Civil War, Britain Second World War, written during Second World War, and that's how this came about. So for me, in designing this program, if I just may go already into this emotional, intellectual, why is what, when? The Ives. For me, the Ives is a key piece. Because, it has nothing to do with war. Unanswered question, very mystical, very enigmatic piece of music. 6 minutes, not longer. Very soft music. And there is always, it's a music that, a question about a serious matter, I think was the original title. It's the perennial question of existence. So it's, why are we here? And it works very simply in 3 layers. The strings play chords, pleasant chords, beautiful, very slow. And the trumpet, who is not on stage, Jeff Work, magnificent musician of the Oregon Symphony, he poses a question. And 4 wind players try to find an answer, and during the piece, those 4 get more and more agitated and frustrated with the fact that, where is the answer? What is the answer? And at the end, the piece is the question for a last time, and then the chord of the strings fading out. Because the strings symbolize the old druids who know nothing, hear nothing, but they are always there. So I thought, if the question of this piece is, why are we here? Then the question can also be, why do we do what we do? Why do we even go to war? And with that question, for me, the fact that this piece evolves and remains unanswered is just, that's the point. It remains unanswered. Why do we do what we do? Why do we go to war? And from there we go into the directly into the Adams, which is exactly what Robert described. Very subdued, very, again, no melodrama at all, but boy, the lyrics by Walt Whitman get to you. Phew, it's really, this is what we call the hard stuff. And then comes the Britten, and the Britten 3 movements. The first is a lament that grows and grows and grows until it explodes. And then comes this incredibly fast scherzo, the second movement of the Britten Symphonia da Requiem, that is very wacky, very crazy music, that goes even crazier towards the end. And Britten himself called it the dance of the death. The dance of death, referring to death during war. And this piece gets so crazy that it exhausts itself. It doesn't stop. It just, after, in a way you can interpret after the killing, there is nobody else who is alive. And that's why it slows down and it's like, I'm tired of all of this. And then comes the Requiem Aeterna movement, which is beautiful, and that symbolizes peace. So I believe that whenever we think about how did war, in general terms, during all the thousands of years of mankind, it always starts with a little conflict. Conflict gets bigger, and then there is always, I believe, the point where you see something bad is going to happen, and you want to avoid it, and you cannot. And then war explodes, and war ends in peace. And that's in a way, I think that's how the first half of the program works, because it grabs you and you go and you see, oh, something is in the air, and you actually don't want to go there, but yes, it will be there. Then the Britain happens, you will hear it, and then at the end there is peace. And if I may just finish the thought that I always have with the Vaughan Williams, brutal, really angry. And at the end of the Vaughan Williams, as opposed to some symphonies that even Shostakovich wrote, no triumph, no peace, nothing, just statement. It doesn't let you go and crushes everything, which is, if you may, that's what war is.
Somebody asked Vaughan Williams what that symphony was about, and he said it's about F minor.
By the way, thank you for saying that. It reminds me, one of the most famous quotes of Sir Ray Vaughan Williams about his symphony is, "I do not know whether I like it, but it is what I meant." And the other one, when they were rehearsing this piece for the first time and a musician questioned a note, Vaughan Williams replied, "It looks wrong, it sounds wrong, but it is right."
The Vaughan Williams Symphony No. 4 is, as you said, energetic, intense, kind of brutal sometimes, and it ends very abruptly and intensely. Though it does have, like at the end of the first movement, for example, places where it has that typical Vaughan Williams luminous, ethereal string writing that is just so beautiful. And since the piece as a whole is, kind of a stiff drink, when you leave here tonight, if you're in a car, be sure you tune on 89.9 FM and you'll hear the Fifth Symphony by Vaughan Williams.
Which is as far.
Yeah, it's the completely other side of the coin. It is so beautiful and peaceful and serene. Now, in this country, I think we think of Vaughan Williams for his smaller pieces, like the Fantasia by Thomas Tallis. And we don't hear the symphonies much. I assume they're played a lot more in England. Is that true?
I don't live in Great Britain. I have no idea.
Are they played in other countries around Europe?
I would say that, to my knowledge, no. Yeah. Nobody. Well, in England, I think that this again is a composer that should be played a little more often. And I'm very, very happy that this is, I think, the third symphony during my time here in Oregon as music director. I did the second. I did number 6 last year. Very good piece. And now this one. And I think, I'm not sure, I think that number 5 is coming up next year, but I am so forgetful, I have no idea. Anyway, but I think this is, again, one of the many slightly underrated composers. And he has so many layers, and there is so much. I'm glad that you mentioned these moments of beauty in the symphony you are going to hear tonight. There is also this wonderful second movement in the symphony, which is, in a way, it's a very lyrical movement, but it gives you the impression, at least I think so, of solitude. It's not cuddly. It's more like I'm alone.
Alone with my thoughts.
Yes.
The Classical Millennium folks are in the lobby at their table, as usual at Oregon Symphony concerts. They have recordings of all the pieces that you're going to hear tonight. So if there's something you'd like to buy and take home, you can do that. Also, a reminder that A, please don't applaud between pieces in the first half, so we maintain that flow. B, since this is being recorded, try to be quiet, okay? You know, coughing.
I can already imagine all of us during the first half, especially during the first half of the program. I mean, I can tell you this: the first 25 minutes of the concert are very quiet music, and I feel like I'm turning blue already. Not trying to cough. Oh.
Especially the very beginning, the Ives, it is so quiet. We must all be as quiet as little mice in our seats. This talk is being videotaped, and you can check it out or recommend it to your friends at our website, allclassical.org. We always videotape the Saturday night pre-concert chats. The season's almost over. We'll do this a couple more times. And then...
Well, the season is almost over, but, I mean, yes, we are going with this program. That's tonight and tomorrow at 2 o'clock, if you want to come back. And then we take it to Carnegie Hall, but in 14 days we will be here again, and we will play a wonderful concert that you should not miss, because it's a concert that we labeled as Celebration of the Orchestra, where we have several of our own musicians as soloists in a little piece here, a little piece there, a little piece there. I mean, all over the map. You will enjoy it, and at the end we play Concerto for Orchestra by Bela Bartok. Don't miss it. It will be great fun.
Yeah. See you back here then. Enjoy the concert tonight. Carlos Kalmar.
Robert McBride.